Ed read my speech. I like the story about the art. That was terrific. Did you write that by yourself? There was a reason why I asked Ed, other than just the obvious reason. You heard the words. They're heartfelt, and he's always good for a good comedy relief. And sincerely, God, we had a great time. But I also enjoyed the story of the orange and the 2 states. Denver. Now I played, this has nothing to do with my speech. I played with Joe, and he's right, Ed's right. Joe could never get his name right. We knew him as J-Bar. Later on, he tells us it's Jabber. He's a judge in Maine. I respect the law. He can say whatever he wants. But Joe and I, when we played professionally together, he said to me one day, he said, you know, my brother just left the teaching profession. I said, well, why did he do that? He said, well, he was teaching science. And he asked a question on a test, name the 3 states of water. Solid, liquid, and gas, right? The kid puts down Maine, Vermont, and New Hampshire. I said, what'd your brother do then? He says, he went into law. As luck would have it, I finished playing ball, went into education, told a science friend of mine that story, called me a liar. Said that never happened. I said, I'm telling you, it happened. 6 months later, I'm teaching a class, he comes down, knocks on my door. He said, do you remember that story about the 3 states of water? And I said, yeah, I do. He said, I told you it wasn't right. I said, what do you mean? He said, the 3 states of water are not Maine, Vermont, and New Hampshire. My kid put down Maine, Vermont, and Rhode Island. And I suppose what happens on the Cape never happened. I like that story too. That was nice. For me, it was 43 years ago. I graduated high school on a Sunday. On Monday afternoon, I was playing with guys that were 2, 3, and 4 years older than I. These were fellas who, mostly in college, but some had played in AAA, AA ball, were 24, 25, and 26 years old as well. And to look back at 43 years, it's a bit surreal. It's a bit out of context. It's a bit hard to believe that I now try to put this whole thing into perspective, where my athletic feats are being honored so many years since. I'm absolutely thrilled, and I've been walking on the air since I was informed of this honor earlier this summer. I'd like to congratulate all the inductees for the class of 2007, for the contribution to the game of baseball, and to the contribution that they have done here on the Cape Cod League. I'd like to congratulate all the board members, who I clearly do not know by name. I'd like to thank Judy Scarafile as president of the league for her hard work and dedication, for Paul Gallup as commissioner of the league for all of his hard work that he does as well. I lived in Massachusetts for the better part of my life. I lived in Brooklyn too. You either were a Dodgers fan or a Yankees fan, and nobody cared about the New York Giants. But coming from the East Coast, we all knew about the Cape League growing up. We also knew that you crossed the bridge to get to the Cape. I was a junior at Providence College when I finally realized the wasn't the name of the bridge. I passed it one day and it said Sagamore. I said, well, that's the name of the town. Right? However, this is a league that now is known throughout the country, and it has been for quite a while. Let me give you an example. And we talked about playing softball. I moved to Tucson a little over 4 years ago, and the fellow next door, who was a fellow who grew up in the Tucson area, said, and he found out a little bit about my background. He said, "Do you want to play softball? You know, the kind that goes like this." I said, "Fine, that'd be okay. I'm not going to get too hurt." I said, "What's the league?" He said, "It's an over 50 league." I said, "That's good too." I said, "Okay." He said, "But I got another team. This particular team is 20 and 30-year-olds. But you might be able to do it." Okay, I can get hurt with the best of them, so I figured I'd try. So in this nice Tucson summer Sunday morning, wearing a New England pair of sweatpants at 108 degrees, rubber spikes, and a Chatham t-shirt. All it said was Chatham. Didn't say anything else, you know. So here I am warming up, and one of the other younger players, well, there's an oxymoron right there. Everybody's younger than I am on this team. So one of the younger players comes over, and he asks if Chatham was my family name. I said, "Younger, not smarter." So I said, "You know, no." And I don't know how many in here today actually put their family name on t-shirts and sell that, unless we own a gas station or a bar and grill, I'm not sure. But anyways, he says to me, "So that's not your family name?" I said, "No. It happened to be the team on Cape Cod that I played for." And this was the statement that hurt me: "Well before you were born." So it's the deer in the headlights type of look. And he goes, "Oh, Chatham, you played in the Cape Cod League." He now gets excited. "The movie, Summer Catch. Did you ever see it?" I said, "Only parts, only parts." He said to me, "That's the greatest movie I've ever seen. I've seen it 6 times, and I bought it yesterday." I am now at this point, taking a noun and making it a verb. I'm half afflecked. So I replied to him, "Well, now we can drop Casablanca and Gone with the Wind from your list of all-time movie favorites." He goes, "I guess, you know." But the pièce de résistance in this dialogue comes with his next line of questioning. He says, "Did you ever play ball with the guys in the movie?" Fully afflecked at this point. So, no, I said, "Come on, let's hit, because this is going nowhere." Only point here, and that's a true story, that's the scary part of that, is that this league is known around the country. Whether it's at the university level, the college level, through the movies, Summer Catch, or by word of mouth, people know about the Cape League. I would like to thank and congratulate all the towns that field teams and their vast army of volunteers, for without their help, these organizations would not be as successful as they are today.